What's up, everybody? This is GreyMan here. How is everybody doing today? I hope you are doing well. First of all, let me say happy Halloween to the folks that celebrate Halloween and whatnot. I know some folks don't, but I like to, it's a national holiday, and I like to tell happy Halloween to those folks. And I've got my Halloween mug here. I'll probably, I'll probably still use it for a while until I get my Christmas mug out, or mugs per se. But anyways, I have an action-packed day ahead of me. Little Miss Gray and Lady Gray, the fam, we'll be doing lots of different things. We're headed to the farm, and we're going to be doing the haunted hayride and some other festivities, as well as dinner and whatnot. So everybody be safe out there. In regards to whatever festivities that you are doing, be it if you're trick-or-treating or whatnot. That being said, I'm not 100% sure, folks, and I'll be honest with you. I like to keep it real. In the aspect of I'm not 100% sure if I'll be in the premiere or not, depending on what we're doing and where we're at the time the premiere launches, which is 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I may try to jump in on my phone. I don't know if I'll be home or not, so I do apologize for being 2 weeks in a row. I don't want to make this a habit or not, but the holidays can kind of play a little havoc on my schedule and family time and stuff like that. And you guys are very supportive in that aspect, that family comes first. All right, so what are we here for? We're here for the Sunday Shift Report. What is going on in the world today, and things that we need to keep an eye out for, and things that just are horrific. That being said, for some of you folks that are tuned in, I touch on certain topics here on this report that can be touchy to some folks. It can spark some anger and whatnot. So just be aware on the Sunday Shift Report there are things that are kind of controversial at times, things that that may I want to say, not say scare folks, but bring out that that you may be passionate about. So just I don't like to offend folks, but just to let you guys know that there's certain things that I may talk about that you may or may not agree with. I just want to kind of get that out the way, because I know sometimes I touch on things and some people will, it really gets them going and whatnot. So anyways, let's talk about a few things and jump around a bit. I want to try to make this somewhat quick because I am on a time crunch, but we're going to roll with it, and we're going to just dive right into it. So the first thing I want to touch on, the first article I want to bring up is it has to do with preparedness. And what I mean by preparedness is we're always talking about, being prepared for anything, whatever comes our way, be it, natural disasters, hurricanes, floods, blizzards, ice storms, and so on and so forth. And so I kind of wanted to use this article as an example, So let me go ahead and throw up the article here. And as you see, it says here, it says 14 million people under flood warning as storm batters mid-Atlantic. More than 14 million people are under a coastal flood warning early Saturday after heavy rains and strong winds unleashed flooding across the Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area on Friday. If some of you folks are in that area, please drop it down in the comments section and let me know how you guys fared. If it's as bad as it says it was, as these articles state and as the mainstream media put it, or was it a little bit less, a little bit more tolerable and whatnot? Being that I'm not in that area and I don't have any footage of that area, I'm not 100% sure. But just based on this article, it tells me to be that yesterday was a pretty bad day in regards to the weather. And when you're 14 million people, that is a lot of people under a flood warning. So hopefully folks that are out there, any of you folks in the preparedness community, are prepared for stuff like that. Down below it says the neighbors who have been here a long time say it hasn't been this high since Isabel. So for some of you folks that have lived there for a long time, and basically Isabel was a storm back in 2003, Hurricane Isabel, and they were referring to that this whole storm system that moved through there was just as bad as a hurricane. So that being said, I just kind of want to draw a little bit of attention to that because I saw that pop up and I was like, man, I hope those folks are safe out there. So you'll definitely be in my prayers, and hopefully everything worked out for you folks there. I know floodwaters can kind of hang around for a bit, and that breeds diseases and other things like that. Plus the weather is a bit chilly, so hypothermia and so on and so forth. But I just wanted to touch on that just because I thought it was relevant to the preparedness. We prepare for, some people try to say that, we're the folks with the tinfoil hats and things like that, and that's far from the truth. We prepare for things like floods and hurricanes and other types of storms and all kinds of things, including economic collapse and so on and so forth. We prepare for the small things all the way up to the big, huge things like the economy and full-on, SHTF. All right, moving on. We got to do a few things here that we're going to touch on. I think I've seen, usually I'm a little late to the game sometimes with some of this stuff, but, here we are. This happened, and I like how the news or companies like to say, oh, it's not the fault of this, but then in their writings, it tells them why that there's an issue that lies. So we're going to use, we talked about, was it Southwest Airlines or whatever airlines it was not too long ago. And as you guys know, as recently, I'll throw it up, American Airlines. Says American Airlines cancels over 1,500 flights on Halloween weekend. Denies any relation to the Charlie Victor mandate. Says American Airlines canceled over 1,500 flights between October 29th and October 31st, blaming staff shortages. Keyword, staff shortages. Again, this is me speculating in my opinion. And inclement weather. Weather, I understand. If it's certain weather phenomenons around, the airport, you can't take off. Totally get it. You want to keep the passenger safe. But the key word was staff shortages. So let me ask you, American Airlines, why is it do you have staff shortages? Did you push some sort of Charlie Victor on your employees? And did they refuse to follow your push? Did you lose a lot of employees due to that? So to state that your cancellations are not due to the Charlie Victor, but then blame staff shortages, kind of go hand in hand as you've seen what's going on across the entire globe and country. Just wanted to state that. Anyways, in addition to 340 flights being canceled on Friday, 540 were canceled on Saturday, and 650 were canceled on Sunday. A spokeswoman for the Texas-based airline told the Epoch Times in an email. And everything that we talk about on this channel, and I hope you guys are across the board, whatever you read, see, or digest, you guys take it with a grain of salt and go a little bit further with that and do your own research into these articles. Because, as a matter of fact, I have an article that I'm going to show you. I'm not going to read it, but I'm going to link it down below due to you'll understand the reasons why. But I think you guys should take a look at the article that I'm going to share, and I'll do that towards the end here. What else do we got going on, man? We got all kinds of stuff. Let's jump over to the carriers over in LA, just because, or LA, but over in California, we've been talking a lot about those shipping containers. Well, something that new just popped up here, and I'm curious how this is going to affect things, because you have certain companies saying that this is just going to be a short-lived situation and everything's going to be okay. I guess we shall find out and see who's right. It's split 50-50 per se on the mainstream media verse. Anyways, here's the article. It says carriers must move thousands of containers out of Los Angeles, so I was right, LA, area by end of Halloween. So the end of tonight, the end of today, they must move thousands of containers out of the area of Los Angeles. It says shipping companies must move thousands of containers out of the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach starting November 1st, according to port officials, or they will begin to start facing hefty fines. Fines that will increase the cost of the goods that are on those ships if they do decide to stay in and I guess digest those fines into their bottom line. But it says the Long Beach Board of Harbor Commissioners on October 29th announced a fee on carriers who have containers lingering on the docks and the ports of Los Angeles. Board approved a similar measure on the same day. So that being said, containers that linger too long on the docks are delaying the the berthing of vessels, leading to record numbers of ships waiting off the coast, and consumers and businesses across the U.S. left waiting for crucial shipments. Port of Los Angeles commissioner said. I just think how hypocritical that article is in the aspect of so you have these folks, not the article itself, the people who wrote the article, but what these commissioners and these organizations are saying. We're going to fine you because you're staying here too long. Well, they're there to drop off products to the American people in regards to goods that they need for, let's say, the holidays or whatever, or just generalized merchandise. And you folks don't have the labor force to push it and get it offloaded and moved throughout the country. So now you're going to heft fines on these people, on these companies, which are going to the companies are just going to push those costs onto the consumer, raising prices even higher than they already are. At least that's from what I would see it. And, they're not stating that, but in my eyes, if you if you raise costs and you hit people with fines, you think the company's going to digest that? Companies are going to be like, no, we're going to pass this on to the consumer. If not, maybe the ships will smarten up, which then I understand that the fuel for these ships can cost a lot of money. And if they were, like I know, like Governor DeSantis said, come to Florida, our ports are open, we'll get you offloaded and we'll get you taken care of, get these goods processed through our ports down here in Florida and move it through the U.S. That being said, it's the cost of taking that ship and sailing it over to the port of and over to from California to Florida probably can cost a lot more money, and then as well increasing the cost of those goods. Anyways, a huge crap show per se going on with this whole container ship issue and the containers associated with it. We've talked a lot about this, and if you are unaware of it, go check some of the other Sunday shift reports out there. We've even talked about it on a few live streams. So, again, something to watch out, folks. I don't think, again, as I say time and time again, I don't think things are going to get any time better anytime soon. And as well as economists have been pushing this as well, saying that they don't expect anything to get better until next year. Hopefully they're correct in the aspect they will get better next year, but I have no clue. Only time will tell, and we shall see. And the only thing we can do is be prepared in the goods that we have and try to find the best deals that we can and keep on doing what we're doing as people in the preparedness community. All right, moving on to the next one that we got here. And, and speaking of the whole carrier situation, matter of fact, I want to do this here. Let me do this. Move this over here and move that. Yeah, I want to do that. And I know I should cut this part out, right? But I'm not, because Gray is not the most professional. He just likes to keep on talking and rolling with it. Speaking of, I want to talk a little bit about Corn Pop real quick for a second, because his approval ratings are just getting worse and worse. His own folks are turning on him. But let me show you this current Corn Pop approval rating. Continues to slip. It says in April it was 53% approve, 39% disapprove. August, 49% approve and 48% disapprove. Here we are in October, 42% approve and 54% disapprove. And this is this chart here was done by NBC News. It was a survey conducted by NBC News. Well, who are the folks that watch NBC News? Just saying. I don't know, the graphic was done by Joella Carmen on NBC News, but I just wanted to think about that. Who watches, CBS, NBC, CNN, and those type of news networks? So if this graph is showing this, that his approval rating has dropped so much, down to 42%. I've heard rumors that it's one of the worst approval ratings in presidential history, but don't quote me on that. It may end up being that way, though. But just imagine if, let's say, I don't know, let's say a more, I guess, right-leaning or more conservative news network, let's say OAN, Newsmax, or somebody like that, or even, I guess, that never know what's going to happen on Fox News Network, did a poll like this. Where do you think these approval ratings would be? I can imagine what they would be. But, that being said, doesn't look like Corn Pop is doing so well, right? Speaking of which, I guess he will not be handing candy to trick-or-treaters this year, because he's overseas hanging out with the climate control or climate people, whatever you want to call those folks, and pushing agendas over there to the world leaders so that they can finish up their whole world climate change agenda and so on and so forth. But you hear what I'm saying, and you guys get it, man. And man, I have a story that I want to talk about, and it's heartbreaking, but I'm gonna push that a little bit further down, because there are a few things happened in Florida that I was made aware of, and it's horrible. Anyways, let's stay on top of this whole crisis that we have in the U.S. between labor shortages and supply chains and stuff like that. If you guys have noticed, I don't eat McDonald's. I'll be honest with you, folks. I haven't had McDonald's in probably 4 years. It just the food is. I don't want to get into it, but let me show you this article real quick. Let me bring it up for you folks. It says McDonald's jacks up menu prices to survive rising wages, labor shortage, supply chain crisis under Corn Pop. So here's what I find funny about this, because you guys know there used to be a dollar menu, and from what I was told, the dollar menu, is no more. Just like the dollar tree is no more. But it says surviving the rising wages. that kind of drew my attention with this article because I thought it was pretty funny. And the aspect of where I thought it was funny is because everybody's pushing for, let's raise the minimum wage $15, $20. Why not $50 an hour? Let's pay them. Let's maximize everybody. And I'm being a bit facetious here, but you kind of get what I'm saying. You know, they want to give the employees a lot more money for what they're doing. Now, I think jobs should be evaluated on the aspect of the skill needed to do that job and based on the current economy and stuff like that. So when you say, okay, you flip burgers, and I was a burger flipper in high school, so no offense to anybody, we probably all been there at one point or another. But so you want to pay me $15 an hour to flip burgers, and I know for a fact there's roofers, contractors, and other people out there that work extremely hard jobs that get paid either the same or less. But now you want to tell me that you want to raise prices in your restaurant because the wages that you're pushing through, that you've been telling everybody we want to give folks $15 an hour. As we've spoken in the past, it doesn't make logical sense in that aspect. If you push those wages higher, of course, the cost of goods are going to go higher. So it's not you, the company, that's going to absorb this cost. It's we, the consumers, they're going to have to hit this cost. And being that the dollar is falling in value and inflation is increasing, it's going to be a lot more complicated and harder for folks to buy things. Be it gas, fuel for heating, or people who use McDonald's or whatever other fast food joints that they prefer to use. As you see, it all culminates to one thing: us paying for it. Not the government, not the companies, not the multi-billion-dollar millionaires, none of those folks. This will fall on us, the consumers. So folks who, like, let's say here in Florida, they voted on the $15 minimum hour wage. And I talked to a few folks about this because they said, oh, yay, $15 an hour. Heck yeah. Not having a clue of what that entailed and how that would affect the future of this state and the employees and the aspect of the cost of goods. And then if you factor in inflation and all that stuff like that, there will technically be making less. The cost of goods will be higher. The cost of living will be higher. It's just, it doesn't make any sense, at least from the way I look at it. But enough of that. I just hope, maybe, do you guys agree? Do you guys feel the same way? I'm really curious about that because I've just dug into it. I've looked at the numbers and it doesn't make sense. We, the consumer, are going to pay these prices. We, the consumer, we're going to make the 18, 19, 20-year-old at McDonald's is going to be making more money, but they're going to be paying more. So they're really not. It's like almost like a lateral or even a move where they're going lower. But let me digress on that little thing there because I can talk on and on about that whole situation. But that moving on, let's move on past that. And speaking of which, you guys have seen the whole what's going on in New York. There's other channels out there that have actually been down there on the ground and discussed this and brought some information on this. But what is de Blasio going to do? What is he going to do? Let's throw up the article. Oh man, it says mandate meltdown. 26 New York City fire stations shuttered. LA Sheriff warns of mass exodus. Tuscan Water District faces staff shortages. So this is all over the place, not just centered on New York. What happens if there's some sort of massive fire that erupts or someone intentionally starts a fire? What about if the folks that need 911 or emergency services, and they're spread so far thin because they want to push this thing across the board that people lose their lives? People, it could be older people, it could be children, it could be anyone, it could be someone close to you. That's a very scary fact. So you folks that live in New York City, man, that's rough. Man, I don't know what else to say about that. And then we have Los Angeles Sheriff warns of mass exodus. So you're going to have a lot of law enforcement officers. What is the crime rate in LA? How, if they lose more officers, which they've lost tons of them already due to the fact of, defund the police. They've been preaching this for over a year and change. And we see how that worked out for Minneapolis. And if they lose it due to the current push for these mandates across the board, it's going to be a skeleton crew. Crime is going to run rampant. Your life's going to be, at risk in the aspect of your safety, your husband's life, your wife's life, your children's lives. everything's going to be more up in the air. Which, you know, eventually, what if there's mass riots and there's not enough law enforcement to take care of that? Are they going to call in the National Guard? Because they refrained from that most of the time during the riots of last year. That was a rarity thing. They was like, no, we're not going to involve the federal thing. And, you know, you guys know the story. You guys have seen the articles in the news. You guys have seen it everywhere. Even on my channel, I've went over some of the riots and stuff that transpired. And then over here at Tuscan, it says Tuscan Water District faces staff shortage. So they're going to face staff shortages in a water district, which, you know, maybe, from my assumption, this is a water processing plants and stuff like that. So are they going to cut corners? Are they not going to? Are they going to have to shut down for a few hours? Is there going to be issues with people in that area, that district? You know, getting water? Is it going to be possibly contaminated because you know, they're overworked and they're going to make mistakes? But do you see how this all plays in together? From, you know, 911, firefighters, law enforcement, folks working at water plants. Man, it's a scary thing to say the least. At least that's how I feel about it. You know what I mean? Because it's not just localized to one place. It's all over the country. I don't know, folks, man. It's all I can say is just get prepared and stay prepared for anything, because it's just getting that bad. Speaking of which, let me see here. I'm just taking a quick look before I move on to anything else here. I just want to double check. Oh, and the one thing, this was brought to me on my Discord, I think by Dragon. Sent me this article. I went to verify the article, and I think this is important. A lot of us people in the preparedness community who talk about precious metals, silver and gold, and we get that whole that constant adage of, hey, you can't eat gold, you can't eat silver, and so on and so on and so forth. And I've tried to explain this over and over again, why it's pertinent to, if you have the ability to prep silver or gold, go for it. Because this is a prime example, and we've talked about Venezuela a lot, because that's like one of the most recent examples of a collapse, you know, of a country. But let's bring this up real quick, and I just want to touch on this fast. Here's the article. It says Venezuelans turn to gold nuggets as the local currency implodes. So the currency that they use in Venezuela is basically worthless. People use it to probably heat themselves and start fires, or, you know, even wipe their you-know-what. That's how they feel about it. And funny, in the article that I was reading, the entire article, it stated that they actually saved little pieces of gold. They wrapped the gold inside the paper money, because the paper money is just pretty much worthless. Anyways, let's dive into the article. It says gold flakes are carried in people's pockets, usually wrapped in nearly worthless Bolivar notes. While some shops are equipped with scales to weigh the gold flakes, most sellers and their customers have become so familiar with the flakes that they can evaluate them by sight. For example, the barber and his customer who transacted for the haircut agreed that 3 gold flakes equaled a 1/8 gram price, approximately $5. Gold is also starting to penetrate nearby cities, such as the regional capital of Ciudad Bolivar, as stores and shopping malls gladly accept gold in exchange for dollars from miners who are seeking to cash out. So, do you see how some of the folks are surviving in Venezuela? As the paper money is dang near worthless, they're using precious metals to obtain goods. Something as simple as a haircut, shopping, and so on and so forth. And the retailers are acclimating to this and saying, okay, let me get scales and stuff like that. And they're working out these things to use the precious metals for exchange of services and goods. So do you understand now what we say, why we say, you know, if you have the opportunity, you have the finances, or you have, let's say you have some savings and you want to turn that into silver bullion or whatnot. And I don't mean on the market. Don't put your money in the market like that. Physical silver is what I'm talking about. So if the dollar was to ever implode on itself, again, people could use precious metals like silver for exchanges of goods and services. Some people say, well, you know, Gray, I'm good. I have alcohol, caffeine, you know, coffee, whatever. I have stuff to barter with. Yes, understandable. But that's if the breakdown of society falls to that level, to a full-on shift where people need specific types of goods. They will still have don't get me wrong, they will have a role. Barter items will have a huge, major role in a situation. But so will precious metals, as we can see here in Venezuela. I just wanted to bring that to attention, and thank you, Dragon, for sending me that article on the Discord. I like when folks, send me some information that I find like quite intriguing, and that we can use here on the channel to kind of relay a message in regards to things that we talk about. Let me move that over there. What else do we got going on? I think we're going to jump overseas. One thing I wanted to do, and I know a lot of folks, I've gotten slack for this in the past. A lot of people don't like Elon Musk, right? For whatever reasons. Maybe because he's one of the elite and he's rich and whatnot. I really don't give a crap. But he put out this quote, and this quote made sense. And I want to share this quote that he put out. And it goes into an article, but I'm just going to pull up the quote right here. It says, Elon Musk rips Corn Pop's unrealized capital gains tax proposal, warns when they run out of the wealthy people's money, they will come for you. Let that sink in for a moment. And if we're considering Elon to be one of the elite, as some folks like to put it, he is bringing attention to the current administration's proposal and what it will do, and basically stating once they're done with the wealthy, because government, you can kind of, I'm trying to think of a way to say this properly, but you can kind of divide government entities versus wealthy, even though sometimes they go hand in hand. But after they empty those pockets, whose pockets are left? Middle class, the poor. You kind of see how that plays out and see why that quote kind of made sense. I think he's kind of on the mark, because once they are done with them, they will come for us. And the money that we have, or any finances or wealth that we have attained in our lives. But like I said, here on the channel, everything is open to opinion-based and speculation on certain things. I'm going to take a good another drink of this wonderful coffee. I don't know. Are you guys familiar with this character? This is who I'm being for Halloween. My wife picked out my costume, but I know this has nothing to do with the news, but I thought it was pretty cool. And you guys know I like coffee mugs. I'm starting a collection, just as bad as my knife collection. Pardon me, folks. And I that's why I drink coffee and lots of water to try to keep my throat clear. All right, where are we at here? Let's jump back on what's going on. What do I want to bring up? Oh, so let's just talk about, and here, I don't know how many folks have seen the whole AT&T situation. We all saw the whole Coke is woke thing, right? And then we saw other companies that are doing the same thing. Well, AT&T is on board with that as well. AT&T has decided to jump on the bandwagon, even though that we know that everything that gets woke goes to, you know what. Here we go, folks. Here's the article. It says, this is what AT&T stated, and it says, you are the problem. AT&T tells white staff they are racist, ask them to confess their white privilege, and to promote defund the police as part of the re-education program by CEO John Stankey. Stankey is an understatement. Anyways, it says AT&T provides its employees with access to a learning resource called Listen, Understand, Act. And you can Google some of this information. It's scary stuff, and oh boy. They have an internal forum provided for recommendations for books and articles to read and films to watch. Just saying, what does this sound like? What does this sound like, folks? Hopefully you guys get what I'm trying to say here. One senior employee told journalist Christopher Rufo at the staff that the staff at AT&T were pressured to engage with the portal. Managers, the source said, that had participation with some of the recommended material included in their annual review. So if you don't get with this program, when you get reviewed for your yearly raise and you haven't succumbed, you haven't been followed up with the narrative, if you don't follow what they ask, and sure, it's a private company, whatever, they can do whatever the heck they want, but they are nothing. They are nothing. The company is nothing without the consumer and the employees. If the employees all left in a mass exodus and all the consumers said, well, we're not going to use AT&T products, then they would falter. They would turn into nothing. They would lose everything. Anyways, it says one of the recommended articles was from Chicago Tribune entitled White America. If you want to know who's responsible for racism, look in the mirror. I look in the mirror every day. I look in I see a great human being. I'm happy to be who I am. You know, and yeah, you guys are probably gonna say, well, you're Cuban, Gray. Well, you know, it doesn't matter. The whole thing is it's BS. You know what I mean? It's I guess I don't want to say certain things because some people probably get pissy about it. And but I've been talking to folks where they consider the term reverse racism is coming to be more popular, I guess you can say, in regards to things. But anyways, it says the portal recommends a 21-day racial equity habit challenge, during which the time participants are encouraged to interact with anti-racism activists and question their own actions. Why can't we just be happy on who we are? White, black, Spanish, Asian, whatever. Why can't we just all, we're all Americans, or, the folks that live here legally, that were born in this country. What does it matter what race you are, what color you are? You know what I mean? I thought that's what America was about, was the freedoms to be who we are, and go for whatever goals that we have set forth in life. I just don't get it. Why are these major corporations, these billion-dollar corporations, pushing this agenda? And as you can see there, it says, and as well as the whole white privilege thing, they have defund the police and their agenda. What does that lead to? What does that lead to? Higher crime rates? The safety of you and your family? Again, that's where we're at, folks. That's where we're at, man. And that's AT&T. I'm sure glad I don't have any AT&T products or use them for anything, because that would make me have to rethink that whole situation. Anyways, you guys, there's two things I want to talk about, two articles that popped up in Florida as of recently. I know there was another issue in Wisconsin, but I'm going to talk about Florida, because I'm always touting Florida as a really great state with a great governor and whatnot. But things happen here in Florida as well. Regardless of where you live, there's always going to be, I call it the blue cells. And we know Broward County, for one, down in Miami, it's heavily blue, or leftist, or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? I don't care. But they're not conservative. Let's put it that way. Like I said, most Cubans and Vietnamese and a lot of Americans are conservative, especially in the rural counties and rural areas. But let's move on to this. Let me see here. Let me see if I can find this article here. So here's the article. It says Florida school board member under fire for field trip to known gay bar. All right. A Florida school board member, got to speak right, Gray. A Florida school board member sparked a social media freakout after she posted photos of grade school class trip to a bar and grill known as the LGBTQ Hangout. Broward County School Board member Sarah Leonardi posted photos on her social media pages Wednesday showing Wilton Manor's elementary outing to Rosie's Bar and Grill, setting off a backlash that saw the governor's press secretary chime in. It says, I was so honored to be invited to chaperone at Wilton's Manor field trip to this incredible Rosie's blah, blah, blah. The students and I had fun walk over and learned about our community, while some critics lashed out that a gay bar, or any bar, and this is where I chime in, any bar, don't take an elementary school child to a bar in general. What in your right mind thought it was okay to take a child or a group of children to a bar for a field trip? What happened to going to museums and learning stuff? What happened to going to things like let's say NASA or space, or things that have a curriculum of learning, let's say a zoo, some sort of exhibit like that? What happened to those type of field trips where we learned about things? Not take our kids to a bar? I just don't get it. I don't understand it, folks. Do you want your kids in school to be taken to a bar? I don't think. I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so. It just doesn't make any sense. When I told Lady Gray about that, she says, well, regardless of what kind of bar it is, it's still a bar. And these are still children. And as far as I know, it's against law to have children in a bar. And like, oh, well, it's a bar and grill. Come on, guys. You could have made a better decision. You could have made a way better decision than that. But hopefully you guys get the point where I'm trying to go on here, man. It's just, I'm just making sure I haven't missed nothing. And let me see here. So now this might touch some people because it irated me. It made me angry, and it's hard to get me angry. I'm a pretty happy guy. Made me angry. This story really touched me and hurt me in the same aspect of what is transpiring. We send our kids to school. Luckily, some of us have opportunities to either homeschool or private school. But folks that can't, send their kids to let's say a public school or whatnot. Well, Florida here has an opt-out situation. There's been a lot of controversy to the whole opt-out for the current mandates for the face coverings and whatnot, right? This blew my mind. Let me bring up the article, and I'm going to show you a picture of this as well. It says Florida educators forced a young girl with Down syndrome to wear a mask by tying it to her head, despite it putting the nonverbal child, so she can't defend herself, in possible danger, a furious father claims. The father believed his daughter was exempt from Ocean Breeze Elementary School's mask mandate because of her disability. Sophia has an enlarged tongue and breathes through her mouth, which makes wearing a face mask potentially dangerous. The father said that Sophia has an individual education plan at the school that caters to her special needs. Medically, she could aspirate, she could asphyxiate, all sorts of medical things that could happen because of her breathing, because her enlarged tongue could cause seizures, Steele said. Let me show you, I'm not going to show the little girl's face, adorable little girl, but let me show you this picture here, how the school, and the parents had no clue that this was going on. The school made a mistake, and I'll explain that here in a second. But take a look at this picture. This picture was from Fox 35. It's literally tied to her face. She couldn't remove it if she tried. It's tied to the back of her head and around her face. That's horrible. Horrible. So what happened was the school was smart in the beginning. They would take off the face covering. They would put it on when she got to school and remove it before she got on the bus to go home. Well, they forgot one day. And when she came off the bus, the parents saw what was going on, took pictures of it being tied around her head, a Down syndrome, a child with disability around her head. And she had all kinds of saliva and stuff. It was just covered. She was struggling, because Florida gets hot. And a truly horrific story, folks. We need to protect our children. We need to be aware. We need to do, if you have your kid somewhere where you don't, like, let's say, not a private school, but a public school or a special needs school or anything like that, I think more so we need to do stuff like dropping in. Every once in a while, go there and visit. See what's going on. Because just imagine, the parents had no clue. What if something would have happened to that child? Now, one positive note of this story. The sheriff is getting involved. The sheriff is getting involved in this. The local sheriff, Sheriff Wayne Ivey, is getting involved in this. And charges may be filed. Child abuse charges may be filed, from my understanding. And if I find more about it, I'll let you guys know. But they could be facing enhanced penalties because it's not only just child abuse. It's enhanced because the child is with disabilities, I think, which makes it, in turn, turns it into a second-degree felony. And I think the sheriff had made a statement in regards to saying that I think he intends to bring it to the state's attorney's office and see if he can get charges filed. And these people can face time. And a second-degree felony, I think, carries possibly, I think, a maximum of 20 years or so. Don't quote me on that, but that was when I saw that, I was like, I was angry. Just imagine being the parents of that child. How would you feel? How would you feel? Folks, we need to watch our children's education system, watch the people that influence our children, watch what they're seeing on YouTube and TV. We need to pay attention to their lives. We need to watch a little bit more closely the things that they watch, see, view, digest, they hear, be it wherever they're at, on any platform. There's a whole thing about books now. I was listening to Stacy on the right, I think, on Patriot Radio, and she was talking about there's a lot of things that are implemented in books in these libraries, in the school systems, that have a lot of disgusting things in them that kids should not be reading. We need to protect our children. They are our future, and we need to protect them as the best we can as parents. And you can see I'm a little bit passionate about that. I just believe that the things that are happening to children all over this country and all over the world are horrific. And people are not being held accountable as much as they should be. All right, moving on. Let's move on to, let's talk a little bit about China and Russia, and real quick. Oh, I did want to show you guys a picture real quick before we move on to that. We've always been talking about Las Palmas volcano. I want to show you an eerie picture. So it's been pumping out ash. If you guys watch Bushcraft Bear, you've been seeing some of those ash clouds have been pushed into the air. It's not stopping. It's not stopping. It's continuing. But I found this picture, and I say this picture because I might even use it for a thumbnail down the road, but I want to show you this picture because it's apocalyptic looking. This is a cemetery in one of the cities over there by the volcano where ash has covered the graves. Let me bring it up for you real quick. I'll do it full screen. Look at that. And it almost looks like it's a fake picture, but this is an actual picture of a graveyard in Las Palmas. The ash is covered. All that you see there covering the trees and the graves are ash from the volcano. That definitely looks some sort of post-apocalyptic look, you know what I mean? Anyways, I just wanted to share that with you. Hey, being Halloween and all, right? Let's move over to, and I'm going to save that one article that I want you guys to check out on your own. If you get a chance, I'll drop the link in the description, of course, down below. And I'm bringing the article up so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But let's jump over to China real quick, because so remember the whole withdrawal from Afghanistan and the whole Baccarat base and stuff like that, and why you know the previous administration wanted to keep that base as a forward operating position for our military because of the fact that it's close to the Chinese borders and whatnot. Well, as we all know, you know, China and Russia have moved in Afghanistan, and China is really pushing it. China is, this is not specifically in Afghanistan, but let me bring up the article real quick. It says China to build special forces base in Tajikistan on Afghan border. So right there on the border. It said amid persisting rumors that China is eyeing a future military presence at an abandoned American bases inside Afghanistan, the neighboring country of Tajikistan has confirmed China has been approved to construct a special forces base on the Tajik-Afghan border. The Chinese military outpost will reportedly be located on the eastern Gorno-Badakhshan Autonomous Province in the Pamir Mountains, coming at a moment of heightened border security as thousands of Afghans have in recent months sought to flee the hardline Taliban rule. As you guys have probably seen, you know, we've talked about this. It was mentioned. Some of our military leaders said it. If we pull out and we do certain things, the Chinese are going to move in, which gives them more access to the deposits and the minerals and the what Afghan has to offer for resources, as well as getting more bases pushed out from just China itself. And this is specifically a special forces basis. I know some folks don't care what's going on overseas, but you never know how that can play out down the road, especially for some of the allies that we have in the neighboring regions. Moving on, we're going to touch on Russia real quick because we've talked about the Chinese and Taiwan. We see how that's escalating. A lot of these communist countries and regimes are pushing forward with things. We saw North Korea now test more ballistic missiles. Did I say that right? Ballistic missiles? I think that's what they were under testing those missiles. So they're back at it. You see the Chinese are you know, trying to push on Taiwan. We'll see how that plays out. There's been a lot of activity over there. Excuse me. Now let's push forward to the Russians. Let me bring up the article first. It says large-scale Russian troop movements along the Ukraine border spark alarm in the U.S. and in Europe. The new allegations of Russian troop buildup along the Ukraine border, and Western leaders are sounding the alarm over what's perhaps becoming another brewing showdown near Donbass and the Crimea region. The Washington Post reported Saturday that a renewed buildup of Russian troops near the Ukraine border has raised concern among some officials in the United States and Europe as those who are tracking what they consider irregular movements of equipment and personnel on Russia's western flank. So outside of the article, evidently it's not like it's not made up. People aren't just this article is factual in the fact that the U.S. and the European nations are watching these movements. But I have a video of someone on Twitter that lives in that area with a video that showed these things. And I think I have the video down here. Let me bring it up for you folks, where he videoed the truck movements. As you can see there, those are some of the movements coming through. As he tried to catch that on film there. But yeah. So as you see, it's not false. What does that entail? Why do we care? Well, eventually, if Russia moves in on Crimea, the Chinese move in on Taiwan, North Korea moves on South Korea, just hypothetically, I'm speaking here, eventually that will create a scenario where we will enter another war, world war per se. This is me just like, again, speculating and being a little bit hypothesizing on what could transpire, but the rest of the country, I don't think is going to be okay with it. All right, last but not least, man, this video's gone long. Let me bring up this article. I'm not going to read it, but I'm going to pin it down below in the description. The link will be it for you guys to read it, but just pay attention to what it's saying here. But you can see where basically these folks are speaking out, and they speak out why they'd rather lose their jobs versus mess with a Charlie Victor. So I wanted to bring that up because it was an interesting article to read what they had to say. A lot of the folks have been taken off, I guess, different platforms and whatnot. But check out that article. Let me know you guys thinking down in the comments. I'd like to hear from you folks. That being said, this wraps up the Sunday Shift Report. I want to say thank you all for being here. Truly appreciate that. If I'm not in the premiere, I do apologize. Maybe I'll be in and out. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I can't tell what's going to happen this afternoon. We just have a lot of family things planned, and I know you guys are very understanding, and just as you would be with your families, and if you have things planned, it is somewhat of a holiday for a lot of folks. And take our child out to do things, so, like at the farm with the the haunted hayride, and some trick-or-treating and whatnot for her, and then having a nice meal to wrap up our day, and then come home and watch some scary movies. So again, I do apologize if I'm not there. You guys did a phenomenal job. The mods are awesome people. You guys mods are awesome. I just truly appreciate you guys and what you do. You guys are such great folks for keeping the chat clean and keeping everything family friendly, and the aspect of we've talked about this in the past, man, but you guys do a great job. So that being said, I want to say thank you to everyone who did join us in this premiere. Truly appreciate that. I will see you guys. I got live streams this week, and don't forget Thursday. It's going to be a huge, massive giveaway. If you stayed to the end of this video, you get that little extra huge giveaway. We're going to do the 10K giveaway there, and we're also going to do the Super Chat of the Month giveaway there as well. So we're going to be giving a lot of stuff away. I got half of the orders in today. Hopefully I'll get the other half tomorrow. But we got lots of stuff we're giving away, and we're going to try something new, doing a live giveaway. I've learned some stuff from Boots and Bounty. They've been teaching me some things. I love the community. We like to share ideas and share things, so we'll see how this plays out. Other than that, I'll stop rambling. This is GreyMan. I'm out. See you guys in a rebound. Have a blessed day. Stay safe out there, and happy Halloween.